Wisconsin and Rutgers. Who else will stand out to you on the Badgers lineup today?
Well, I think you've got to check out one of their leaders, Caitlin Clem, the goalkeeper, who has been fantastic throughout a majority of the season. Struggled a bit in the Maryland match, and she's a fifth-year senior. She recovers from that without issue, and her leadership, though, at the back will help against Rutgers.
Okay, well, the Rutgers starting lineup, keep an eye, too, on Colby Shiraka. We haven't talked about her yet. 6 goals, a couple of assists. She leads the team with 14 points, and we are underway here from Piscataway. We're going to have 2. A doubleheader of soccer here from this complex. And soccer between Rutgers and Wisconsin immediately following this one.
Rutgers start in a 4-3-3 shape. The shape for Wisconsin is a 4-4-2. It looks more like a 4-3-1-2 when they're defending. They expect the wing midfielders to track back and tuck in and work very hard in transition. One of the reasons why Wisconsin gives up so few, but 4 goals allowed over the last 2 matches has caused some concern among the staff.
Here's Alexa Ferreira, who's trying to lay it off. So contrast the styles that we will see today.
Rutgers is very patient, wants to build out of the back, starting with their keeper, while Wisconsin is also has the ability to possess, but they're more about a quick strike. And the player you want to look at closely and on the dribble is Victoria Pickett in the midfield, the number 11. That's somebody to keep an eye on, and that's somebody I know that Mike O'Neill and Rutgers are focused on.
You talk about Alexis Ty, who will play more of the holding mid spot for Wisconsin. Victoria Pickett will be more of an attacking mentality, and Paula Wilkins has said to combine the two is trying to fill in the spot that Rose Lavelle left us last year after graduation. That's a hard spot to fill.
Interesting that it takes 2 players to fill her shoes.
I would sometimes think it might take more even.
Here's an example of Rutgers building and how patient they will be. Their 6 or holding midfielder at the start is Taylor Almer.
Sophomore out of New York. We'll play it to the feet of Casey Murphy. A redshirt junior. We've talked about, you said she's had some international experience. I mean, Mike O'Neill has even said she's one of the best goalkeepers, not just in the country, but he really feels in the world at this point for her age.
Well, Michael O'Neill anticipates that Casey Murphy will soon be involved with the full national team, that April Heinrichs and Jill Ellis have a high regard for Casey. So it won't be shocking when that moment arises where she gets her first cap with a full team.
She had the redshirt last year. You see where she leads the Big Ten. She also leads the country in those stats as well, but she had the redshirt last year if you play for the USU 20 team. Penn State knows it well. They had 5 players who had their red shirt last season. And Casey Murphy right now is not intending on coming back for her redshirt senior year. She's intending to pursue a professional career after this season is done, though she's all focused here on Rutgers in 2017.
Well, that's a discussion that she had early on with Michael O'Neill, and they have a great relationship. Michael and Meg Ryan, the associate head coach, coached Casey on the club level, and it's time for her to move on. She'll have her degree, and she's looking to move forward as a professional in this game.
So Danny Rhodes and Lauren Rice are up front for Wisconsin. You have a sophomore and a freshman trying to apply the pressure. There's Rhodes trying to get the takeaway on Courtney Norton.
Well, the freshman, Rice, is someone who looks very effective off the ball, and that's how she creates a lot of her chances. She's a smart soccer player, but also dynamic in getting behind. And as for Rhodes, Paula Wilkins talked about how she had to deal with the compartment syndrome last year, could only play 10 or 15 minutes a match, but she scored in several of those matches, including against Minnesota and against Florida in the NCAA tournament.
There's a look at Alexis Ty. She's a senior. So we'll spend time at that holding mid spot, which is really where Rose Lavelle played last year for Wisconsin. That was a major change that Paula Wilkins made. This was a a matchup last year that was pretty exciting. Wisconsin won 2-1 against Rutgers. Danny Rhodes chasing. And you see Kenny Wright, number 9, in black for Rutgers. She's starting in the left outside back position for Rutgers, and that's significant because you might see Michael Neal move her around a little bit.
Well, the game changed on Friday when Kenny Wright moved into the midfield when Rutgers was struggling, and shortly thereafter she helped create the goal, which at the time equalized. Eventually Rutgers losing to Minnesota, but Kenny Wright has moved into the midfield as necessary. Normally when the midfield defending is struggling a bit.
Rutgers is coming off its first loss of the year. Wisconsin is coming off its first draw of the year. So both of these teams coming into today looking to rebound a little bit from their Friday outcomes.
And what both coaches are struggling with a bit is the number of goals surrendered. We talked about Paula Wilkins in Wisconsin, 4 goals over the last 2 matches, and then Rutgers conceding twice against Minnesota. That's only the second and third goals this season scored against Rutgers.
Well, Wisconsin's sitting back a little bit, not applying immediate pressure. And here's the counter. Pickett laying it off to the left side to Lauren Rice. And Rice sending it in, and there's the impact of Murphy. Becca Harrison trying to keep it in for Wisconsin. Already testing Casey Murphy.
Well, Casey Murphy made a good decision. When the ball's coming in like this, you have to decide, am I going to catch it or am I going to punch it out of danger? And Casey made the right decision.
Grew up just down the road in Bridgewater, New Jersey. You see Paula Wilkins in her 11th season as a Wisconsin head coach. We talked to her in the pregame, and she was joking about how young she was when she started coaching. Began as an assistant at Penn State, and of course, eventually became the head coach there before moving to Wisconsin.
And part of the remarkable nature of Penn State and Wisconsin and Paula Wilkins is that her first assistant for that entire time has been Tim Rosenfeld, who works with the goalkeepers. It's important to have that sort of connection and stability in the programs.
Amira Ali up top. She's a freshman, number 17 for Rutgers. And already 11 points, 4 goals, 3 assists for her. Michael Neal calls her a stud already as a rookie.
Amira, you look at her, she's been built like that since she was 14, 15 years old. Powerful, pacey, but what sometimes gets overlooked is that she's a very good soccer player, reads the game well, and recognizes things around her in terms of 1v1. You'll see her play with her back to the goal today and make quality decisions.
Well, Wisconsin pressuring this time.
Top box! Yes, Ken! Yes! Good one, Ken!
Rutgers this time on the counter, trying to lay off to Ali.
Grace Douglas, the right center back for Wisconsin, did well anticipating that. She dropped early, and Amira Ali could not, she's got pace, but she wasn't going to be able to catch up to that before Douglas.
How about Wisconsin's back line? Grace Douglas, a sophomore. Peyton Wesley, a sophomore. Sammy Kleitke is a freshman. Cameron Bogalski is a sophomore. You have 3 sophomores and a freshman back there.
And Grace Douglas didn't play at all last year, so in essence, it's her first year of collegiate soccer. And that's why they may be struggling a little bit. Paula Wilkins said, you know, her urge is to, like, look, play better, but she knows it's going to come in time.
Swaby trying to track back, and she does. Played nicely.
Shepherded that. You That's a skill by a defender that is so important. She got in front of Rhodes and just put her body between Rhodes and the ball and was able to just shepherd it out. And it's an impressive move, and it's a skill that center backs have to have.
How about this? In the starting 11 between these two teams, 13 combined freshmen and sophomores. Makes your hair go gray, right, if you're a head coach?
Well, that's where these two teams are very similar this year. They have a lot of young players that they're integrating into the program, so the head coaches have to be patient because their experience plays a role in your development at any level. So if there are mistakes at the back or different sort of things that aren't working quite right, eventually they will. That's the way both coaches are looking at it. Remember, Michael O'Neill's told us 9.5 out of 10 times things are going to be done properly, and it's that one moment which could change the course of the game, and you just have to get through it.
Another throw-in coming up. It's Cameron Biegalski, one of the sophomores we talked about. Very athletic there in the back line for Wisconsin. Ali's looking to turn. She takes a tumble.
Thus far, neither team, Lisa, able to get very close to the opponent's goal. The punch out by Casey Murphy is the closest for either side.
Good pressure coming from Becca Harrison.
And you know, Rutgers, they like to utilize depth. We'll play up to 18, 19 players every match. And with Wisconsin on the road and also coming off 4 consecutive overtime games, this is a match that we'll have to watch very closely in the second half, where Rutgers oftentimes does its damage.
Here comes Shiraka. They play it back to Caitlin Clem. Caitlin Clem could be one of the more aggressive keepers in the conference. She will take some chances.
Exceptional.
You see the crowd. I mentioned this is the first of 2 matches we'll bring you here today, with a men's match following. Rutgers men coming off a non-conference midweek win against Princeton, taking on a Wisconsin men's team that's won 4 of the last 5. That one following this one.
You can hear the coaches on either sideline encouraging their players at different times to step up and defend, to attack more vociferously. And the voice I hear is Meg Ryan on the Rutgers sideline, the associate head coach. She's a motivator, and in particular will be focused on her back line. And I say her back line because she specifically works with the backs.
Right, well, she was a defender at Rutgers and a former captain as well.
A 3-year captain, which gives you an idea of what Meg's all about. There she is.
Well, you talk about coaching consistency, and you certainly had that when you were the head man here at Rutgers, and some guy named Mike O'Neill was your associate head coach for many years.
Yes, we became brothers during that course of time. Neither one of us have a blood brother, so we decided to join forces. But yeah, Mike and I, 14 years together, and Meg, as a player and a coach, has been at Rutgers for 10 years. So it's really, that stability is important, and I'm just thankful that both Michael and Megan have elected to stay at Rutgers, and obviously they've done some great things.
Well, Wisconsin is giving that Rutgers back line some time to operate. Here's Kenny Wright on the left side.
Yeah, their restraining line is not even 3/4. It's closer to the edge of the center circle. So I think part of that is just to conserve and not try to number one, you can't press an entire game, especially the second day on a road trip where you've played so many consecutive overtime games. And Paula Wilkins doesn't substitute quite as liberally as Mike O'Neill at Rutgers either. So there's more pressure on these players.
Yeah, Wisconsin is definitely riding the OT train, 4 in a row, including the last one against Maryland on Friday. They had a 2-0 advantage, and Maryland came back to tie it 2-2. Tie to Maryland, wins against Minnesota, Michigan State, and a loss to Michigan. And as soon as Wisconsin had entered Big Ten play, they have played in 4 straight overtime matches.
Gabby Provenzano has entered the match. She has played frequently, mostly as a reserve, playing that holding midfield role now in place of Adora Moneme, who is still being evaluated. Just try to place her in the shade. I think they went back to the locker room with Adora.
Courtney Norton trying to find Ali. What's the best way to use Amira Ali up front?
Well, she can do 2 things well. She does play very well with her back to the goal. She's so strong, she can post up, and she recognizes players underneath, so she can use the supporting players and then run off of that. But she also can run the channels very well, where she just moves a little bit laterally and then takes off behind. So those are the 2 things Rutgers will look to use with Amira Ali up top.
Migalski that time was bodying up Shiraka. And Wisconsin has tried the counter a little bit to generate some offensive looks.
Danny Rhodes, Lauren Rice have rarely been on the ball here in the opening half.
Pickett to Rice. Work it around to Peyton Wesley. Back to Pickett, who immediately gets the double team. Rutgers wasn't having it.
No, and that's good numbers around the ball, and that's one of the philosophies defensively for Rutgers. Numbers around the ball, and no silly fouls. And Alexa Ferreira and Colby Shiraka did well there to strip Vicky Pickett of the ball.
Oh, the flag is up. And Shiraka got caught.
Really well done, though, by Taylor Almer. And Michael O'Neill said he was going to try to get her into a more attacking position in the midfield area, and that's why. Inside dribble, slips a pass between 2 defenders, Shiraka just offsides.
Colby Shiraka, one of the important players, especially for Rutgers. You see a very young roster, but she is one of the seniors. Well, Shiraka and Murphy. So you got one up front and one in net to kind of anchor the newbies here in this Rutgers roster. Ali to Shiraka. And that time, Douglas and Migalski closing the door.
Help her!
Goal kick.
I think it's going to be a foul, Lisa.
Is it?
And I think the player is going to get booked.
Yeah, we got a card coming.
Migalski, well, she got skinned along the end line. And Colby Shiraka, look at this work ethic. First beating one off the dribble, and then the second by accelerating. And I agree with Kalafal Lataifa, who has done games at Rutgers before in the past. He's an excellent official.
card to Biegalski. It'll be Kenny Wright taking it. Low driven ball to the near post.
Get Sonny off the back post. Take him off the back post.
We'll do it again.
10 yards from
Hey, Lauren, get here though.
Get me here. Okay, she's gonna pick the hell up.
Tim Rosenfeld, assistant coach for the sideline,
Hey, Danny, talk.
wanted a player, just a single player, to be 10 yards from the ball to make it a little bit more difficult for Kenny Wright.
Different flighted ball that time, up and over.
I love when the diminutive players have a chance in the air amongst the trees, and it was Alexa Ferreira that time. She's all of 5'1" or 2.
Listed at 5'3".
Well,
You're shortchanging her. But a good look in the first opportunity for Rutgers today.
Yellow card given number 30, Cameron Biegalski from Wisconsin.
Here's Ali. To Shiraka, into the box, and it was deflected by Clem.
Whitley on the right flank. I was watching Nicole Whitley during the buildup of that, and she really needed to attack the back post sooner and with more dynamic movement, because look where it fell. And she was just a little bit behind it. Great ball in by Shiraka.
Whitley's gotten a couple already this year, 7 points this season.
In front of her.
Corner opportunity into the hands of Caitlin Clem. A redshirt senior out of Okemos, Michigan. Clem family is all over Big Ten soccer. Courtney, her sister, played at Michigan State. She was a keeper. Madison currently at Michigan State. Of course, her cousin Lauren Clem at Northwestern.
All goalkeepers.
All keepers. They said they weren't very fast. That's why the family of keepers evolved.
Dad. Dad.
Just tight now. Just tight now. Just tight now.
Dad, you.
On.
Our State Farm State of Success, how about the scoreless streak? Huge story for Rutgers. 924 minutes and some change, setting the school record. It ended just recently against Illinois.
Well, the young lady being pictured is a big part of that, Casey Murphy. And, you know, in addition to the tools she has, she's also a great communicator and organizer, which through her international experience has certainly been enhanced. So a big part of goalkeeping is preventing disaster before it happens due to your great organizational skills. Casey understands the game, she understands the shape and system, and she really directs her backs well.
Nine shutouts this year. We showed you her goals against average, save percentage, both tops in the conference and the country. And Mike O'Neill has said it's, you know, our defensive philosophy, as you know very well, we don't allow goals. That's just kind of our mentality. Is it really that simple?
Well, Mike was a defender on a collegiate level. He was in the national pool, and you know, that's the way he looks at it. That's the way he played, and that's the way he coaches.
Wisconsin just flirting around the box. Can't make anything out of it.
Maya Sella came into the game, and she is someone who can get around the edge on the flank, and with Wisconsin still no opportunities on goal, Paula Wilkins has put Sella in, the freshman, to see if she could provide a little bit more damage on this left side.
Here's the younger sister of Adora, that's Neka Moname, checking in. Mentioned she had the game winner against Illinois. Visco dropping it back to Murphy. All kinds of time to decide. Candidate for the Herman Trophy. 9 shutouts this year, 38 career shutouts. Moname with a takeaway up to Ali. And Douglas, or Wesley, a little bit of a foot race.
A pressing situation there for Rutgers. Nneka Moname went hard at the fullback. Peyton Wesley trailing a bit were Amira Ali and Colby Shiraka. But as soon as that ball is played and the defender is facing her own goal line, that's a visual cue.
Tierney Wiltshire has checked in for Rutgers. Provenzano back to Swaby. A little pressure that time coming from Lauren Rice. And here's Wright to Shiraka.
So as promised before the game when we had a chat with Michael O'Neill, he said Kenny Wright would likely move into the midfield eventually, starting at left back. And on this occasion today, he wanted to put her closer to the goal into a more attacking position. And you see she's playing ahead of Provenzano, and then you see the benefit of it from that last sequence.
A flick on, Lauren Rice at speed into the box with a takeaway from Swaby.
Thus far, the 2 center backs for Rutgers, Amanda Visco and Chantel Swaby, have neutralized the pair of Rhodes and Rice.
Rhodes had 2 goals against Maryland. And her goal scoring numbers are comparable with 2 of the other top goal scorers in the conference, Sydney Squires of Minnesota, Maddie Williams of Purdue. Both of them having exceptional years.
Squires with the game winner against Rutgers on Friday night. Just a nice finish in front of goal. You look at it and you say, well, that wasn't such a difficult ball to finish, but the fact that you have to get it past Casey Murphy and slot it and do it at a point of the game where there was just 2 minutes left.
And Pickett getting tangled up, draws the foul.
So we've only seen Pickett drive at the back 4 once, and it created that opportunity where Casey Murphy had to punch the ball out of the area. Otherwise, Wisconsin has not been able to penetrate the back line.
Here's Rice.
Keep your feet moving.
Nice run by Wesley up the left flank. But they will come up empty-handed.
Rutgers, one of the discussion points between the Minnesota game and here this afternoon against Wisconsin was individual defending, and I think you're seeing not only a greater effort to close down, but a better mentality 1 versus 1. And this is another Monemi. Adora left the game with a head injury, and now her younger sister Nneka appears to be struggling. So you can see non-contact, and when it see a player pull up like that without any contact, it's certainly a soft tissue injury, and a lot of times it's the hamstring, and that appears to be what's being stretched.
So Alasia Lane, number 80, will sub in for Nneka Moname. Lane had a goal against Minnesota.
Entering for Rutgers, number 80, Alasia Lane. Replacing number 15, Nneka Moname.
So Wisconsin, their possession throughout the half has been a bit loose. That's an example right there where it's just a simple ball wide that misses its mark, and Rutgers with another throw in. Rutgers putting a lot of good pressure on Wisconsin, and sometimes that will lead to unforced errors where you might even be anticipating the pressure even though it's not present.
Ali had Lane behind her. Norton up and over for Ali to chase on. And Kenny Wright will compose things.
Well, that's a very effective way to change the point of attack. Limited touches, but then the ball from Chantel Swaby wide for Wiltshire off the mark.
Lauren Rice with the cutback.
But once again, you see two Rutgers players around the ball. This time Wiltshire, who recovered, and Chantel Swaby, and that left Rice by herself. Really not much support from behind by Murtha, so she was sort of left on an island there in that right corner.
Well, they switch the point of attack. Here's Wesley. Wesley will keep it. Now drops it off to Maya Sella. Here's Ali with some running room.
Well, those are difficult. She's trying to save it, keep her balance, and get the ball before the defender, Wesley. But you see Amira Ali lost her balance. Had the pace to catch up to it, but could not hold on.
Just a couple of shot attempts. 2-0 advantage in that category for Rutgers.
It's interesting, Paula Wilkins was concerned about today's game because she kind of compared it to what turned out to be a disaster against Stanford on a Sunday after a Friday game, a 5-0 loss to the #2 team in the country. Paula Wilkins said she felt embarrassed walking off the field in that, but again understood the youth and how this team is going to push forward, which they have with a victory over #3 Virginia a couple of games after that. But she was concerned about 2 matches of this level in the Big Ten in 72 hours on the road, 4 overtime games. And perhaps that's one of the reasons why they aren't pressing higher up the field, Lisa.
Do you expect them to change that strategy for the second half?
Well, I'm curious because their victory over Virginia, she really gambled in terms of her setup by pressing Virginia. And when I mean pressing, Virginia, like Rutgers, likes to build out of the back a goal kick. You'll see the center backs on either side of the box, fullbacks high and wide. And Wisconsin pushed so high, they marked all those players, and it really rattled Virginia a little bit, forced them to go long, and then Wisconsin won the air game. So might we see something like that in the second half? Again, I don't think so, but it's something that might be contemplated because Rutgers has had the run of play for certain.
Henley and LaPlante have checked in now for Rutgers. Wiltshire.
Do it again, Cam. Cam, it's back here. You pick someone up. We'll help organize.
Wiltshire was forced into a starting assignment last weekend on the road, the Northwestern Illinois trip, when Kenny Wright was taken to the hospital, had a virus, and she's fine now and has worked her way back. But Wiltshire starting at left back in place of Kenny Wright and developed some confidence along the way and played very well against Minnesota on Friday night.
Yeah, Wright missed both the Northwestern and Illinois match.
Wiltshire ended up playing 53 minutes against Minnesota with Kenny Wright back in the lineup, and that's when Wright moved into the midfield when Wiltshire came in at left back. And it's a nice little thing to have, that maneuverability for Coach O'Neill, depending on how things are going within the match. When you're deep, it really does help with your management of the game.
Pressure coming from Rhodes, really challenging Swaby. And Danny Rhodes isn't going away. Here comes the double team. And a nice possession there from the sophomore.
Let's get it out of our house.
Entering
Come
Wisconsin,
on.
number 19,
Let's
Emily
get.
Gordon.
Let's go.
Placing number 9, Lauren Price.
No spin on the throw-in. Please. Get it higher.
See Swaby really good on the ball, ended up losing it there, but very smooth, lanky, and a little stronger than her appearance.
Pickett with the half chance. Victoria Pickett, 1 goal, a couple assists, 4 points this year. One of the more athletic players that Paula Wilkins has had.
Yeah, she is just almost fascinated by her athleticism, but more so, you know, not everybody, even if they're athletic and fast, can dribble with speed. Pickett can. We've only seen one instance of that here this afternoon, and one of the things I'm sure Rutgers worked on preventing.
LaPlante went down. We're gonna have a little conversation. We've already had 1 yellow handed out to Cameron Bogalski. Take another look.
Okay, would you call this a face plant? I'm just...
On LaPlante?
Yes.
I see what you're doing.
Get out.
That half chance by Pickett earlier. Easily grabbed by Casey Murphy. First shot of the game for Wisconsin.
And another foul call. Under 10 minutes to play here in this first half. Again, this is the first of 2 matches we'll bring you. Schedule makers lined up a women's and a men's matchup between Wisconsin and Rutgers. That one coming up in our doubleheader. It'll be Dean Linke and Chris Doran with the call on that one. How do you beat Casey Murphy?
Well, because she is 6 foot or a little over 6 foot tall, one of the areas that she's improved during the course of her time at Rutgers and as a youth player is getting down quickly and making those saves low. But that's a tall keeper. That's generally where you're going to beat them. Got to pick your spot low and hard to the corner.
Kenny Wright is a pest. You can see it now that she's moved into the midfield.
What Kenny Wright did on the Rutgers goal against Minnesota was truly remarkable. How she had moved into the midfield and just got the ball, double teamed, then a third player came in. She hit the deck, popped up, and then while she was halfway up, just pushed a pass down the flank that Elijah Lane ended up finishing, and it was a perfect example of what Kenny Wright has been all about for Rutgers.
Well, this is the first corner opportunity here for Wisconsin.
Karina, you go.
So you see how Rutgers is set up, a total zone. The 3 players just a little bit outside of the 6. They will look to track anybody running in.
A driven ball to the near post corner. Alexis Ty was there. Couldn't do much with it. Ty is senior. She has started every single game of the 2017 season. You see career shutouts. Well, she's climbing the ranks. 9 of them this year. 38 for her career. The odds of her getting there are what?
Pretty good. But in this, the remainder of the schedule, Big Ten competition, the score lines are generally very low in those matches, so there's a decent chance.
Well, especially if she doesn't come back to play her redshirt senior year.
Well, if she breaks the record, it will have been done in 3 seasons. Erin Guthrie, who was a fantastic goalkeeper here, has the record at 44, but she did accomplish that in 4 seasons. That gives you an idea about the Casey and the players in front of her.
Absolutely. Of Casey Murphy, she was the 2015 Big Ten Goalkeeper of the Year, and an All-American in that year as well. One of the major reasons why this program went to the College Cup.
Well, Michael O'Neill goes by the motto, defense wins championships, and many tend to agree with that. And Wisconsin the same way. I thought it was interesting when Paula Wilkins said Tim, her assistant, sometimes does not like the designation of defense first. And they've had some great attacking personalities, obviously, Wisconsin and Rutgers. Rose Lavelle, Wisconsin, Carly Lloyd, Rutgers. And so much of it is through organization, Lisa, on both sides. These 2 coaches both played defensive roles in their collegiate careers.
And Paula Wilkins, a defender at UMass. From 91 to 94, she was a player. She played in the College Cup in 1993. Mike O'Neill, of course, played at Seton Hall, back in the Big East. The title teams in 87 and 88. Paula Wilkins, incidentally, is one of the few coaches to have played in a College Cup and have coached in a College Cup.
That is a distinction.
Here's Pickett.
That was Amanda Visco, who stepped in wisely, the center back, and immediately just played the ball into Kenny Wright's feet.
Was that the right decision by Pickett there? Would you like to see something different?
Well, I think you've got a forward who either needs to post up or check to the ball, and the forward elected to post up, and when you do that, you have to use your arms and your body to ward off that center back, and that was not the case. So I don't think it was Pickett's choice, a decision that was at issue. At the same time, Rutgers had dropped and tucked very well, and maybe you step on it and change the point. I think that's what you saw. Coach Byington.
Oh, no. Nobody wants to be coached by me.
You've never coached?
No.
Okay.
My dad was a coach. I stayed out of it.
Get out of the box. Get out of the box.
3 shots generated combined between these 2 teams here in the first half. A 2-1 Rutgers edge.
Go. Good talk, Sammy.
Show again now.
Hard, hard, hard.
Borgman and Jacobson, the twin strikers now for Wisconsin, trying to generate something before the end of the half, where Rice and Rhodes were unable.
Borgman has a couple of goals. 5 of her 10 shots. Half of her 10 shots have been on frame this year. Get some decent playing time the last couple of years up front for Wisconsin. Winterfield on the left side. And another corner opportunity for Wisconsin.
Well, Borgman draws the corner, but that started with Nikki Pickett, who beat 3 midfielders off the dribble for Rutgers. Rutgers plays with a triangle midfield, so all 3 midfielders beaten, and that's what cleared out some space wide left.
Final 2 minutes of play here in this first half. Winterfield sends it. Scramble in front of the net. And Murphy's reaction.
Borgman, I think, through that scramble, took the shot, yes, and Murphy with just a reaction save. I mean, she just kept her balance and had her body in the proper spot, and that certainly looked like a hockey goalkeeper to me. But it did the job, and big moment, big save in this match.
There's 1 minute remaining in the first half.
Wesley will send it back. Migalski. Wisconsin with a little bit of momentum here in the final few minutes.
And it is mostly because of Pickett getting a couple of opportunities. She found a little bit more room here with the reserve midfield for Rutgers. Gabby Provenzano came in, Christine Monroy, and we know that Kenny Wright moved from left back into the midfield. She's a 90-minute player, but she got beat off the dribble pretty handily by Pickett as well in that last sequence.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Halftime. And no score between these two teams. Very defensive-minded programs, probably no surprise. On a Sunday afternoon, Wisconsin and Rutgers come into today in a tie for 6th place in the Big Ten standings. And we will welcome in the Rutgers head coach, Mike O'Neill. And Coach, how do you evaluate what you just saw here in the first half from your team?
Yeah, we're keeping the ball well, but we've got to keep the ball in better positions. We're bringing the ball around the back, but then we need to find pockets and movements so we can figure out how to break lines and potentially get in behind. And we just need to be a bit cleaner and have a quicker idea of where we're going before we get it.
Michael, I know you were aware of Victoria Pickett coming in, but she got a couple of loose opportunities in the midfield near the end there, and those were 2 of their best chances.
Yeah, she's a dangerous player, so there's no doubt about that. We have to have good numbers around her. We've got to recognize when she's dribbling, is it a head-down dribble, which will now give us the second player to come across, and have a bit more confidence when players come into that area and are dribbling that area enough to just step up and win that area so it doesn't lead to anything.
Coach O'Neill, thank you for the time.
Thank you very much.
First half is complete. Again, 2 veteran coaches trying to help their team pick up some much-needed points here in Big Ten play. October is here, and so is the excitement across the conference. All right, moments away here from starting the second half as we welcome in Wisconsin head coach Paula Wilkins. And Coach, what are the things that you would like to change here at the start?
Well, I like our speed of play to be a little bit faster. You know, Rutgers is coming hard and fast and putting us under a lot of pressure. So I'd like to be able to switch the point of attack a little bit faster and, you know, win a little bit more of these physical battles. I feel like we're not really, you know, block tackling and running through them. And I think once we do that, we can kind of transition on Rutgers a lot faster.
Paula, you talked about earlier, you had great success against Virginia, high pressing, a team that liked to build out of the back. You know, scouting Rutgers, that's something they like to do. Any consideration of putting the pressure a little bit higher in the second half?
You know, we're pretty happy with it. They had 2 shots on goal, nothing on frame. So we feel like we're frustrating them a little bit. We know that they're going to change a little bit here coming out of halftime, so we've got to pay attention to any changes they're going to make. And I think if the game dictates it, makes the changes, but right now we're pretty happy with what we're doing.
All right, thank you for the time, Coach.
Thank you.
Paula Wilkins, been around Wisconsin in her 11th season. 2015 Big Ten Coach of the Year. Well, Tuesday we've got an all-new Campus Eats. Troy Johnson, Jenny Dell bring you the best championship eats from Pasadena and Indianapolis. Campus Eats presented by Eat Street, Tuesday at 10 Eastern. I could put in a plug for some of those Indianapolis locations. I haven't been to Pasadena.
Well, I'm just saying, why is it always
some of those
so,
tailgates
why
that we
do
got
tailgates
outside?
always look so just
And
delicious?
the smell of grilled food, isn't it the best?
Yeah, it is. Whoever invented the tailgate, there should be statues and.
Is a brilliant person.
Well, you heard it from Paula Wilkins. Wisconsin, it doesn't appear like they'll change anything tactically because, as she put it, it worked in terms of negating a lot of the Rutgers attack. So we'll see if Rutgers has made any sort of adjustment or will try anything differently against Wisconsin. Kenny Wright starting Lisa at left back to begin the second half. She played in the midfield for a good portion of the first half as well, but it's the original starting 11 for Rutgers, while Wisconsin has left their one reserve forward out on the pitch, Natalie Jacobson. She'll team up with the big gun, Danny Rhodes.
Yeah, so it means Lauren Rice will be coming off the bench as they play it out to the feet of Casey Murphy. What do you make of that change?
Well, I just think that really there was nothing going on between Rhodes and Rice in the first half. When you play twin strikers, there needs to be a great relationship. One checks, one runs, combination play between the two. And it's not necessarily to blame the other starting forward today, Lauren Rice, but this is a choice by Paula Wilkins to see if she can generate a little bit more attack.
Yeah, neither Rice or Rhodes had generated a shot attempt. Now, you know, shots are few and far between in this one, only a couple from each side. Victoria Pickett with one, and Emily Borgman coming off the bench, only playing 11 minutes, got the other towards the tail end of the first half.
Well, that was the one where Casey Murphy came up with a big save on the line with the help of Alasia Lane, who was hugging the post off a corner kick.
Trying to find the feet of Ali up front for Rutgers.
And you see the organization of the Wisconsin back four, how they dropped together. Ali lost the ball, but even if she had gained control, Wisconsin was positioned very well in their back four setup.
Here's Rhodes to Pickett. They'll try to place it back to Rhodes. And Rhodes trying to make something out of nothing.
Come on, guys, come on. Here, let's go.
Chantel Swaby, very difficult to beat off the dribble. Quick feet. She's been a defender throughout her career and got a good block on that.
Hard tackle by Shiraka.
Whitley, instead of going up strong on the challenge, kind of backed away, and by bouncing into Kleitke, she committed the foul. And
she's hurting a little bit. There's the play, but
Yes, Your Honor. Yes, Amanda.
Nicole Whitley is limping.
Well done, Amanda.
a little bit of a Charlie horse. She got a knee to the thigh.
Watch the throw, Taylor. Taylor. Taylor.
Whitley, last year 10 assists, Big Ten Freshman of the Year. All of that out of the midfield.
Well done.
She is moved to the forward line. A couple of reasons why, and she's going to come off now to get that thigh injury tended to.
Yeah, an early sub. Elijah Lane will check in for Rutgers.
But one of the reasons for pushing Whitley up top, here's a kid who's a real good playmaker in the midfield, is to enable Rutgers to keep the ball better in front of the back four of the opponent, and then she can deliver from there.
She was the Big Ten Freshman of the Year last year, led the Big Ten with 10 assists. Again, you can re-enter once in the second half in college soccer. Bertha lost it.
That was a situation where Mirtha, if she just checked her left shoulder, she would have seen she had a lot of time. Maybe could have gotten to that ball and just kind of cut it back in instead of trying to push it forward with her first touch.
Well, the restraining line hasn't changed a little bit, really, from what I can see for Wisconsin here to start this second half.
Nope, they're still sliding side to side, staying in a 4-4-2 compact shape. And what Swaby did there is what you have to do. You drive it right at one of the forward players. They have to commit at some point, and then you slip the pass.
Rhodes trying to turn. And again, that is Swaby. Chantel Swaby showed some of the highlights of the center back position for her in the first half. She will track you down.
Those long strides, athletic, but smart as well. The use of her body, as a center back in particular, can alleviate a lot of concern and dangerous chances. I do want to make a correction. It's Gabby Provenzano who's in the midfield instead of Adora Monemi, so it's not the original starting lineup, Lisa, because Monemi is obviously done for the game after the head-to-head collision earlier in the first half.
And how does that impact Rutgers?
Well, they're a team built and managed on depth. So losing a player who has a presence in the midfield like that is difficult, but also she's a presence on set pieces, both defending and attacking in the air. So that's a big part of the loss as well.
Tough throw for Shiraka to handle.
Shiraka, Amira Ali, both in the same area. Normally you'll set up, one will post up close and then the other will go in another 10 to 12 yards in behind. So you have two players that can post up and then you can work combinations off of that. But they were both kind of standing next to each other, so there wasn't a lot of space.
Lane trying to chase down Wesley.
Mira Ali has struggled a bit today in terms of keeping the ball with her back, but there's a nice little layoff.
Oh, a nice touch. Lane couldn't quite get to it, though. You see the potential of Amira Ali. She was an NSCAA National High School Player of the Year. Spent some time on the USU 19.
All of that is legit. She is a big-time prospect on the national team level. But what she has to learn as a target player, continue to progress with, when a ball is played to you and your back is to the goal and you have a defender on your back, you have to consider the options. Can you turn in one? Can you lay it off in one? Or do you need to just keep possession? And that third part for Amira Ali is something that she'll need to continue to work on in her game.
Here's Ali controlling it, again trying to find lane. You know, Ali, one of those New Jersey natives, so she played at Eastern Regional, and you know as well as Mike O'Neill that you gotta put a fence around this state for Rutgers to be successful.
Well, it's such a rich state in soccer on both the men's side and the women's side in particular, and all you have to do is look at some of the recent World Cup rosters to understand that. Heather O'Reilly grew up right down the street in East Brunswick. It was an important part of this program to enable it to grow, to keep the best players, or at least some of the best players in the state here at home at Rutgers. There's Amira, and a nice young lady. Very respectful and a delight to coach. I had some experience with her in the New Jersey Olympic Development Program, and that was when she was 15, and she was tearing through people.
Well, 11 points so far, Amira Ali's freshman campaign. She has started out her career the right way. Meanwhile, Wisconsin now has checked in Lauren Rice up front. So it's back to Rice and Rhodes, the forward spots for the Badgers.
One of the things for Wisconsin, sometimes they're defending in a manner where both forwards are also dropped into the midfield to try to dispossess Rutgers. But when Wisconsin wins the ball, they don't always have that target to play to or the early penetrating ball in behind. That time Rhodes, and we heard Paula Wilkins tell us, Rhodes, the big project for her and her development is playing with her back to the goal, and there you see she lost it off the first touch. Very difficult though, back to the goal, your vision is obstructed a bit.
Is that one of the hardest skills to teach?
It really is, because you're dealing with a ball that's flighted in different ways, sometimes on the ground. You rarely get a perfect pass. So you're dealing with the ball initially, and now someone who is trying to win it from you, and it's repetitions in training. Repetitions.
Now Shiraka trying to find lane that time, and look how far Caitlin Clem will come out. We have said that she's one of the more aggressive keepers in the conference.
Well, part of her instruction is to play high off her line and intercept and come out and step and clear balls like that. She timed that perfectly. She saw it all the way. And that really, that saves your backs quite a bit too, because they don't have to recover in a sprinting manner quite as often when you know that you have your goalkeeper right in behind. I'm sorry, Lisa. That being said, it caused a major problem against Maryland. The first goal scored by Maryland, Wisconsin was up 2-0. Clem was caught way off her line, and she just lost track of where the goal was as well, and it was just an easy long-range distance goal for Maryland to get within a goal.
They took advantage. They saw the opening and took advantage of it. I've wondered, too, if we would see that once or twice where Rutgers just taking a shot from distance. Ali with the pressure. Shiraka. And Good takeaway from Biegalski.
Biegalski did well as Shiraka nearly split the defenders, and then that would have been very dangerous for Rutgers.
How about Lane this time? She has Ali, she finds Ali. Ali staying with it. Oh, she had the opportunity.
Ali's first touch bounced up high in the air. She was kind of fortunate that she was able to get it right back into her feet, and but it was her continued fight, and this was a ball that if she could have gotten her hips around, needed to be struck possibly to the back post. Well, there was an opening at the front as well. Struck it well, but wide right.
A foul on Alexis Tai.
Well, it's tough to dispute that. She took her left arm while Colby Shiraka had moved past her and knocked her away, and some might even refer to that as a good foul to stop the progress of Shiraka and force Rutgers into a longer set piece situation. This is where Rutgers misses Adora Manemi.
Second ball, second ball.
A floated ball into the box. Almer, right at Clem.
An easy one for Clem to grab, and she was patient, just a couple of steps off her line to see how the play would develop.
Get behind it, Danny. Get behind it, Dan.
What can Kenny Wright do? She's dangerous. Here is Wright. And the speedster, it's Ferreira looking to take on. Again, it was Ali who the target. Angle turn. Angle fire.
Wonderful technical play by the right back for Rutgers, Courtney Norton. Won the ball, gained control, good entrance ball into lane.
Updated scores around the league. Michigan State knocking off Iowa. We're at halftime with the other three matches. Again, we're keeping an eye on that Minnesota-Maryland matchup. The Gophers locked with Wisconsin and Rutgers right now in the standings.
Michigan State's first win in the Big Ten out of 6, and Iowa remains winless through 4 matches.
Again, if you haven't heard, the big win over the weekend last night, Ohio State, a night game, knocking off Penn State. Wondered if it would just be a matter of time. Illinois took Penn State into overtime, and Penn State just recently in a draw with Nebraska.
Penn State highly regarded.
Shiraka chasing it down. Oh, 2 white jerseys chasing her down. Clem punches it out. And Wisconsin gets rid of it.
Clem did very well with Amira Ali simply fronting her, jumping straight up into the air, which the forward is allowed to do. And Clem was strong. Well done by the 5th-year senior keeper.
Here's Wright. On the counter, out to Ali. She has Lang. just got some fingertips on it.
So Shiraka drives a left-footed service, and there's Clem doing well to palm it out. Normally you want to punch it, but that's the best way she could handle it. And then here she misjudged the flight of the ball, but because of superior footwork, it was very good footwork. She took a step towards the ball, but the footwork allowed her to parry that away and out of danger.
All right, takes it to the top of the 6. And Wisconsin only allowing one look at that corner.
The Rutgers pressure again on the Wisconsin back line, forcing a simple, really no intended target kind of ball just to clear their lines, and Swaby was there to knock it back to Murphy to allow Rutgers to build.
Oh. Wisconsin trying to make the most of this takeaway. Becca Harrison. Harrison still on it. Harrison to the front of the net. And Rutgers clears it.
Clem again outside the area at the beginning of that and was able to clear it no problem and won. And here, great play in front by Swaby to just simply poke that away. Correction, Provenzano dropped in from her holding midfield position. Look where she got to defensively, how important that was to drop into that spot.
Harrison was trying to find Danny Rhodes. Rhodes, an injury slowed her last year. We talked about that. She would only play about 10 to 15 minutes per match. But last year, she still tallied goals against Minnesota, Florida, and Virginia. So you know that she would come to play against some of the better competition. Here's Ali with the turn. And we are going to get a set piece chance for Rutgers in a prime spot.
Well, Khalaf Al-Latafe, there's where the foul was committed, and he wanted to see how the play continued for Ali, so he brought it back. So Alexa Ferreira, throughout her youth career, specialized in free kicks. Let's see what she can come up with here for Rutgers.
And Ferreira challenging Clem.
Well, she hit a curling ball, so my guess is she was trying to put it towards the right post and bend it in past Clem. And that became something very easy to handle. Perhaps in retrospect, a little bit too much distance to take the direct shot.
Settled by Bogolski, a hard collision with Wright. And Wright wanted the call but didn't get it.
Right, going in and yeah, I think that's fine. Both players going in on a 50-50 challenge. Wright won it and Bogolski ran through it.
midway through here this second half. Still no score between these two teams. Shots have picked up considerably for Rutgers especially. And so have the corner opportunities.
Well, that didn't look promising at all as Colby Shiraka was enveloped by 3 Wisconsin players. But part of her ability and experience and knowing what to do there, drawing the corner.
It'll be right again, taking it.
Organize again, find our marks.
Shiraka on the keeper.
And she's going that direction.
So Wisconsin, for the most part, has defended the corners well. Just 3 for Rutgers. Rutgers, in their repertoire, does have a short variety. Wisconsin's been winning the air game off the set pieces, including that throw.
Does the style change now, the midway point here of this half?
I don't think so. I think both teams are probably satisfied. I think Wisconsin certainly understands they are not going to have the same kind of possession as Rutgers because they're allowing that possession. And then they're just going to look for those moments to trap and see if they could win the ball. And the counterattack, though, it's going to be difficult for Wisconsin because, once again, there's no one high up the field to spot up once you win the ball. Wisconsin right now, 10 players behind the ball. Now you see Rhodes just meandering a bit.
Here's Pickett at speed. Visco with the takeaway.
Ali had to leave that alone because she was in an offside position. Wise move by the freshman.
Henley with the attack to Shiraka, going at Biegalski. And Shiraka just collapsed in the box. She is hurt.
Well, Shiraka was taken down in the area. I mean, she's still down, so we'll see how this is played, but Michael O'Neill's disputing. So let's take a close look here. You know, and there her foot stepped on. She's in the area. She goes down. That's a PK. It's just, but the referee has to see it live. There's no video review, although the NCAA does permit it if both schools agree to it. I haven't been involved in a game where I've seen it used, but both schools ahead of time can agree to it, and they can have video review in certain instances. And I believe a PK is one of them.
So Shiraka will step out. Let's take one more look. Right ankle.
Yep. But
think that's a foul?
At speed, I think it's a foul. But at speed and where the referee was positioned, I don't have a clear thought on that one. It doesn't look obvious from certain angles. In this case, the ankle was stepped on, and nonetheless, throughout the course of the year, sometimes you get the calls, sometimes you don't. They almost always even out, and one call does not make a soccer match.
Harrison to Borgman. Little combination back to Pickett.
Inside, Ken. Yeah. Let's go, get up.
We have approached now under 20 minutes to go in regulation.
Well, statistically, Rutgers has had the better of it, 5 shots to 1 here in the second half. Wisconsin did counter effectively a moment ago. And again, it was started by Pickett.
Oh, a dangerous ball with pressure coming that time from Wisconsin.
Well, you need to be confident to play that ball, and you should be with Casey Murphy. You've got pressure on your back. Murphy is there, so you play it back to her. She clears, and those are the situations where you just need to relax.
Fabry checks out. Murtha comes back in.
Entering for Rutgers, number 21, Jenny Sayers. Please place your 17, Karina Henley. 17, Karina Henley.
They have made Danny Rhodes' day awfully tough today.
Jenna Sayers, just her 7th match of the season, and her 2nd appearance in a Big Ten game, committing the foul.
Kleepke to take it to the top of the 6. Go back the other way. Neither one of these teams have really made the most of some of these restarts.
No, in the first half, Wisconsin came closest in a dead ball situation off a corner where Borgman hit a point-blank shot saved by Casey Murphy. Outside of that, you're right.
It happens once or twice.
How have you enjoyed your stay in New Jersey?
Yeah,
you
you
were
know,
part of the Rutgers football broadcast yesterday against Ohio State.
It's been a big weekend here for Rutgers. Even Mike O'Neill has talked about that. They had their Midnight Madness for both their men's and women's basketball teams. Now, midnight spelled, of course, K-N-I-G-H-T for the Scarlet Knights.
That's right.
And yes, they had the night game against Ohio State Saturday night. Pickett. It's coming back. Trying to lay it off for Murtha, who will send it back. Rhodes with the chance.
Courtney Norton, the right back, trying a full left-footed volley clearance and scuffed it a bit right to the leading scorer of Wisconsin. So Rutgers fortunate. There you see it.
Replacing number 31, Christy Monroy, and number 21,
Rhodes,
Jenny Sayers.
who has shown a propensity to score with her left, her right. How about this? A great basketball player, Gatorade Player of the Year in soccer in her junior year of high school. And then not until her senior year did she decide between basketball and soccer. So that's an exceptional athlete. And normally in women's soccer, someone of that level, they're deciding their sophomore year, maybe their junior. We even have freshmen now making decisions. But I think it's very healthy to see a player of that level, one of the top forwards in the Big Ten, who was a multi-sport athlete.
Significant, too. That was her first shot attempt of the match. You know, she averages just over 3 shots per game. But Rutgers has not made it easy for Danny Rhodes today.
We may have to open up the Wisconsin record books. If this goes to overtime, I mean, I know we're still 13 minutes to go, but that'd be the 5th consecutive overtime game for Wisconsin. Not wishing that on their players, I just...
Yeah, well, Wisconsin, too, a program that takes pride in not giving up goals. But again, they had the draw to Maryland just recently, picked up a couple wins against Minnesota, Michigan State, and a loss to Michigan. Dropping it off now to Borgman. As you had mentioned, 4 straight overtimes. Somewhat unprecedented for soccer programs to have to endure such a thing.
And once again, it was Pickett who generated this corner kick by getting loose in the midfield and got those long legs, almost crazy legs, you know, scissor moves, the different things that she can do, but it's very dynamic on the dribble.
Quick restart here for Rhodes. And Wisconsin trying to get maybe Rutgers caught off guard.
Yeah, that was a rehearsed play with Rhodes showing for the ball and defended well by Rutgers.
Ali has some support. Here's Ferreira, she went down. And Rutgers again will get another set piece.
Well, Cameron Bogalski, whether she fouled Colby Shiraka in the area or not, insignificant at this point. It was not called, and now the cutback by Ferreira. So Bogalski having to deal with two of the better attacking options for Rutgers. First Colby Shiraka, now Alexa Ferreira.
Interesting to see what Alexa Ferreira does this time.
Well, if she's going to curl it again, she's got to pick her spot where Clem is standing right in the center of the goal. I would go far post.
Ferreira going high.
So that one was always rising, so instead of hitting a curling ball that might dip, you could also hit a driven ball that dips, but she didn't quite connect the way she wanted to. Here it is again. And see, she's kind of leaning back a little bit, spin on the ball. You really got to get over the ball to get it over the wall and dip it under the bar. She's got the technical ability to do it. Didn't execute on that occasion.
As a freshman, is that her choice, or is that a coach's guidance of what she can do in that situation?
It could be one of both. I think they'd leave it up to her in that situation. Anything close. If she's the lone player over the ball, she's just got to look at the whole situation. So they'll have an option for her to play a little dink as well. Provenzano again defending well in the area, dropping in from her holding midfield role. Remember, she's played maybe more minutes than she normally is used to with the injury to Adora Manemi.
Drops it off to Ferreira. Had Ali, was trying to find feet, and it was Klipke who was there. A couple of new center backs. Klipke is one, and Douglas is the other for Wisconsin. Plays it out to Murtha. Borgman is there, just couldn't get around on it.
Borgman was trying to decide, do I head this? Do I volley it? And she made the decision to try to volley it and couldn't get her hips around. But there's an example of Murtha, the freshman on the right side, who can get around the edge and get end line. Little hesitation move, very effective to get past Wiltshire and that dangerous ball across. That's what Paula Wilkins said they really haven't had recently in the program. Players on the flank who can really get around the edge.
As you saw, this is the first of two taking place. Yersack Field will have a women's and men's doubleheader, and Wisconsin and Rutgers men's matchup coming up after this one.
What's better than watching a couple of soccer matches? Beautiful sightline here at Yersack Field, wouldn't you agree?
It's a beautiful complex. It helps that it's a beautiful day.
That is the truth.
Flirting up with 70-degree temps, starting to feel a little bit like fall weather. Not last weekend, but this week and this weekend. Last 4 matches, we've talked about it, and Paula Wilkins does not want to see a 5th straight overtime coming for her team.
Well, the one thing that they will be satisfied with up to this point is they've gotten back to defending the way they would like, and that's their first priority, is for a 0 on the scoreboard for the opponent, the clean sheet.
One touch, here's Henley running on, and Clem is there to smother it.
Well done, Alexis Ty. We've talked about the holding midfielders. I think I'll stand to be corrected. I think it was Grace Douglas. Let's see who ends up getting a little bit of a piece of this shot. Yeah, it's Douglas. And that little deflection took the pace off the shot and made it a lot easier for Clem.
Karina Henley coming off the bench, having a little bit of an impact here for Rutgers.
Well, her greatest asset, she's continuing to develop her skills, is her pace, and you saw it there. And right now, 3 very pacey players up top for Rutgers against what must be a somewhat exhausted back line for Wisconsin.
Ali this time. Miscommunication between Ali and Henley.
You can never turn your head like Henley did.
Counter chance here for Wisconsin.
Henley just anticipated Ali playing over the top, so she turned her head towards Clem in the goal and just took off. And Ali couldn't get it off that way. You have to remain in eye contact with the server throughout.
That's a freshman working with a sophomore. Murtha cuts it back. Murtha trying to go end line and gets bumped. We have another card coming out. That one going to Kenny Wright.
Kenny Wright commits the foul, and that prevented Murtha from driving along the end line. And here's Murtha again beating Wiltshire off the dribble, and there you see Kenny Wright coming in late. So this is interesting, right at the edge of the box.
How do you play it?
A lot of times this one is going to be played on the deck. You might look for a dummy. Play the ball hard on the deck. Let's see if there's a runner for Wisconsin. They dummy, and then the player at the top of the box takes the shot. I don't see anybody positioned to come in and make the hard run.
Black jerseys packed into the 6. Here's Rhodes, floats it in, and the punch out, a volley chance.
Apparently, Murphy was fouled. That's a nice measured ball, though, towards the goal. There's Murphy coming out to punch it and regaining control. And I don't...
Did you see anything on the punch out?
No, there was no foul that I could see on the replay. So, and he seemed to indicate that the keeper, Murphy, was fouled right on the line.
Rhodes again.
Wiltshire just trying to clear that out a moment ago. That was the right move because Rutgers is under pressure. Swaby struggling a little bit, the left center back.
Well, that was Wisconsin's really best look in the second half.
And they're getting all their attack from this right side.
Look out, Ali! A possible one-on-one. She lost it. Finds Henley, who's got a turn. An acrobatic shot that's saved at the goal line. Bigulski was there. And Clem is still down.
All right, let's look at it. First, Ali lost what looked like a certain chance, and then look at Colby Shiraka while still on the deck, and that saved off the line, both the combination of the post and Bigulski keeping that And what a goal that would have been. And then you can see Ali arriving late and her left knee into the head of Clem.
A BTN standout. The right outside back, the sophomore, Cameron Bigulski, saving things for Wisconsin.
But that started. Amira Ali had a breakaway. She was behind the defense, one-on-one with the keeper, and stumbled a bit right at the top of the box. So good composure, and then she engaged Henley on the right side and got a shot off where Colby Shiraka was almost in a position setting a screen, and that's just a tremendously athletic and great awareness by Shiraka and the ability to get that on frame. But more so the effort also of Clem and Bigulski.
That's where your keeper has to buy your outside back at least a sandwich or a cup of coffee, right?
Something. Meal card swipe, something.
Meal card swipe. Well played. About 4 minutes to go here in this match, no score. We're inches away from Rutgers taking the lead.
Ferreira rushing something that she really didn't have to. We talked about Wisconsin playing so many overtime games, but any team at this level, and it's been a very physical game, 24 fouls called, it takes a lot out of you. Playing 2 matches in 72 hours is a bit nutty to begin with, but that's the way it is on the collegiate level. And it's nearly impossible to recover fully from the Friday night match to be fully fit for the Sunday afternoon.
17 fouls for Wisconsin, 8 for Rutgers.
This is difficult for the keeper, that corridor of uncertainty.
Right, a high floater.
That ball needs to be played in the space behind that line that was at the top of the 18 and in front of the keeper. Didn't have enough on it. Sort of like that, but from the angle she was, and try to eliminate the keeper.
Glenn Crooks and Lisa Byington with you for the first of 2 matches. The women's matchup between Wisconsin and Rutgers, and again, the men's matchup will follow this. Dean Linke and Chris Doran on the call.
It's worth listening to those 2 guys, even if there's not a match. Just listening to them talk.
There's Ali with a battle to Henley, trying to combo back and forth.
And the referee bringing it well back is Ali again. She's such a handful, and you're really getting a close-up look of Amira Ali, a freshman, and how powerful she is. And look how she uses her body to hold off a veteran player, Alexis Tai, doing that on the dribble, controlling the ball. So instead of Ferreira taking the free kick this time, Kenny Wright's going to give it a try.
Here's Kenny Wright, a low-driven ball, took kind of an awkward bounce, and Caitlin Clem had to react to it.
I walked the field, and I actually went right into that 6-yard box before the game. I was just curious about the conditions of the field. In great shape, and I didn't see anything that would indicate a divot or anything where that kind of hop would ensue. But did you see how Kenny Wright drove the ball in front of the keeper? Well done by Kenny Wright. That's always a difficult ball for the keeper to deal with.
Bodies go flying, and Wisconsin clears it. Well, this is desperation time here for both of these teams. Approaching the final minute here of regulation.
1 minute remaining in the second half.
At this point, Wisconsin, they're going to get a chance here to see if they can get the first and second ball and do something with it. They'll take their time so that Rutgers doesn't have much time to counter.
Final 10 seconds. Hey, guess what? We got a little extra soccer to play.
Bonus! Bonus soccer. All right, Lisa.
How do you sum up this regulation?
I think Rutgers really had a lot of the advantage, and I think a lot of it has to do with Wisconsin on the road. Their back line is struggling a bit, but they've performed very well in the air when Rutgers has had the set-piece situations. Rutgers hasn't been able to connect during the run of play. Came very close, but they're just not connecting in that final portion.
No score in this match between Wisconsin and Rutgers. We head to the first overtime, but man, the Scarlet Knights had some opportunities, especially in the second half.
Yeah, they were the dominant side, out-shooting Wisconsin 10-2. Here's one chance off the service by Shiraka, but Clem did well. Clem misjudging this one, but reacted enough to parry it out for the corner. And this, Colby Shiraka, what do you think of that? And the effort by Bogalski to keep it out. And then Kenny Wright got a free kick and hit it very well. And Clem, again, coming up big to keep the game scoreless and send it into overtime.
Well, Rutgers outshot Wisconsin 10-2. And you asked Glenn Crooks, so here's your answer. 5 consecutive overtime matches. That sets a record in Wisconsin program history.
Well, I say the next 2 days off, Paula Wilkins. That is a remarkable stat in as much as you just, over the course of 90 minutes, and if you look across the entire package of collegiate soccer on the Division I level, most games are decided in the 90-minute structure. So to do it 5 matches in a row, this one I think they'll be a little bit more satisfied with how it's gone, considering the situation. A Sunday afternoon game after a Friday night game on the road. And let's see what Paula Wilkins decides to do tactically here. While Michael O'Neill and Rutgers University, they had the pressure throughout that second half, in particular over the last 15 or 20 minutes.
Well, something about OT and Paula Wilkins. By the way, don't forget they had a program record 9 overtime games last year. They got to put an end to this trend.
And it's not like Rutgers has never seen overtime this season. This is their 4th overtime match, but not consecutively. Tied Georgetown 0-0, tied Northwestern by the same score, and defeated Illinois 2-1. And there were the records. I'm just glad you're getting to spend a little bit more time in New Jersey, Lisa.
You didn't want to get rid of me, right?
Yeah.
Shiraka to Ali, into the box. Ali will fire away! There it is for Rutgers! Not wasting any time for the Scarlet Knights.
Well, the freshman Amira Ali, what a finish. Caitlin Clem, you could see the dejection. She's had a fantastic game. 5 saves before that shot, which she just couldn't get her left hand on because it was curled perfectly by the freshman. Turnover in the midfield, taken by Kenny Wright, Shiraka, and how about that ball to Ali? And there you have it, tucking it in on the back post. A professional finish and a victory for Rutgers.
Her second shot of the day resulted in the only score of the day. And her 5th goal on the season and 13th point of 2017. And don't forget, she's only a freshman this year.
With the victory, Rutgers moving into a 4-way tie for second place, pending the outcome of other games in the league. So Rutgers coming off their first loss of the season. It was a disappointing one here at Ursac on Friday night, with Minnesota scoring the late goal. But Amira Ali, who was a big part of a lot of the positive things that occurred for Rutgers this afternoon, and she got a little bit of a rest in that second half and came on, and you could see there was a little bit more electricity in her.
26 seconds into the OT session.